गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन। मुंडे सर का क्लास खत्म हुआ है ना? एम आई ऑडिबल टू यू ऑल?
यस मैडम, गुड मॉर्निंग मैम।
सर का क्लास खत्म हुआ है ना?
यस मैम, कंप्लीट हो गया।
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है। एक 2 मिनट्स तो एक्चुअली हमारा पीसी चेंज हुआ है, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा सेटिंग चेंज हो रहा है। 2 मिनट्स में मैं स्टार्ट करती हूँ। आवाज आ रही है ना आप लोगों को?
यस मैम।
ठीक है ठीक है। हेलो। सर नहीं खुल रहा है। मैं ट्राई की, नहीं खुल रहा है। बच्चे ज्वाइन हो गए हैं, मैं कितना ट्राई कर रही हूँ वो नहीं खुल रहा है। मे बी आप इसके बाद आके थोड़ा चेक कीजिए। नहीं नहीं, ठीक है ठीक है। Okay, we are in the last part, last leg of this international business economics, the foreign trade promotion part. So when I say foreign trade promotion, like if you take into consideration the Indian angle, Indian foreign trade was actually under the British control. Like prior to 1947, the British, there was no proper objective of regulating the imports and export. And at that very time, the Indian economy, it was very much affected by scarcity. It is because Britishers has taken everything to their own country. So in order to safeguard, in order to stop Britishers taking all the Indian raw materials to their own country, to safeguard the domestic industry and to restrict the export of the essential goods, it was very essential, and India altogether took a step of regulating the international trade. And during that time, the National Planning Commission of the country, it made an objective like as far as possible, it should be the India's economy should be going for national sufficiency. Like first of all, it is like the Indian people, they would be consuming the product, and after that, if at all, if there will be an excess of that product, it will be going for exports during 1947. And at that time, international trade was certainly like, what exactly are we going to trade? There was no policy. But then with the subsequent years, there was one exempt policy that came up during 1950-51, which after evolution very popularly in the 1991, the exempt policy was updated. So in the import policy that was prior to 1991, there was too much of restrictions on the import. Like in the initial pages of development, India had to import capital equipment, machinery, spare parts, the industrial raw materials, so that India could go for development. And from the time to time also, it had started importing food grains in terms of like it was exporting wheat and rice from certain parts of Pakistan, from certain parts of Bangladesh, and import under that was to a certain extent was classified as banned items, restricted items, and canalized items. Like there was one open general license that was given to them, and there was severe restrictions on the goods that are not essential, or not essential goods were not to be imported. Then there was an import substitution that was happening. Import substitution was basically like you have to reduce the dependability on imports. Like today we are moreover going to do import substitution with this Make in India concept. There was a very broad objective of this import substitution in India. Like in case, in order like whatever foreign currencies were coming, like when we are going for import, the foreign currencies were going out the country, and in order to achieve a self-reliance, like in order to be own self-reliant and to lose out the dependency on other countries, so this import substitution was taken place. In 1991, the new trade policy was established. So there are some major features of those new trade policies. Like the first was there was a free import as well as free export. The new trade policy that came up with the line of LPG, that is your liberalization, privatization and globalization. Now, for the procedure that was followed for import of capital goods was very much simplified, as India was looking for a higher industrial growth. So all kinds of new units that were undergoing a substantial expansion, like automatically granted license of the imported product capital goods. So they were given clearance without any objective, or without any objective from the government side. They were fully supported, and they were covered under the foreign equity and import requirement. Like the 25% of the plant value of whatever plant has been set up, any kind of machinery that was coming inside, 25% of those machinery were given a government subsidy. Then the second thing that they updated was there was a tariff structure which was updated. There is one committee called as Chelia Committee, and that committee said like the import duty, whatever was levied on the goods that were imported, it was reduced drastically, so that goods that were machines that were to be brought from international will help in producing goods domestically. Those machines can be easily imported. Then there was something called as decanalization. Decanalization मतलब government ने बहुत control करके रखा था कुछ items. So during decanalization, the government decontrolled 116 items and it allowed export of those items. From those वो जो items canalize करके रखा था, उनमें से क्या था? Like there were some non-ferrous metal, natural rubber. There were raw materials that are used for fertilizers, and there were certain petroleum and petroleum products that could be exported. But but apart from those items, the government strictly maintained that any kind of petroleum products has to be canalized when it is to be imported. Import किया जाता था तभी heavily canalize किया जाता है. Then there were certain exchange rate reforms. Like exchange rate reforms में एक partial convertibility of rupee आया था. Like during the budget of 1992-1993, the then finance minister, he had announced that there should be a liberalized exchange rate management system. Like under that, that 40% of the foreign exchange receipts were to be exchanged through RBI, because we didn't have a specialized market and specialized bank for that. So whatever exchange that has to be taken place, like 40% of them has to be happened through RBI. The official exchange rate was very much lower than the market exchange rate, and there was a fully convertibility of the current account. When I say fully convertibility, matlab it was like there was a freedom to buy or sell foreign exchange. The foreign exchange transaction जो था होता है वो free में उन्होंने किया था. Like all kinds of foreign trade promotions, like if you are doing any kind of export and import, in that case any kind of payments that has to be made to the other party, or payment that has to be given in terms of loans, or it has to be done in terms of events, wo actually there was no taxes levied on them, or they were allowed, like you could invest in foreign goods, or you could make a foreign investment. Then there was certain, whenever you are taking loans for the trade purposes, whatever loans you are taking, the interest rate was quite low. Then there was a phased out manufacturing program that was given during this new trade policy 1991. In those phased manufacturing program, the organizations, they were in the initial pages, they are required to substitute all the imported parts with the Indian parts, and after that, in case that is not applicable to certain industries, then after that they would be going for importing of foreign products. Then trading houses were set up in 1991. Certain export houses and trading houses, the government permitted to set up. Like under that, 50% of foreign equity was set up for the purpose of promoting exports, mainly to strengthen the Indian economy, mainly to strengthen the exports. The equity houses were set up. Then there were certain export-oriented houses. Export-oriented houses matlab there were setting up electronic hardware technology parks, the software technology parks, जो कि आपके जो बाहर के जितने भी investments आ रहे थे in terms of your IT, whatever was happening, those were termed as export-oriented units. Now there was something called as free trade and warehousing zoning. Like in those free trade, जैसे आपका special economic zones होता है, वैसे ही free trade and warehouse zones setup किया गया. वहां पे क्या होता है, आपका ऑल काइंड ऑफ ट्रेड रिलेटेड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, मतलब अगर आपको इंपोर्ट करना है या एक्सपोर्ट करना है, वेदर टू फैसिलिटेट इंपोर्ट और टू फैसिलिटेट एक्सपोर्ट, there are all kind of transactions to happen over there, and when it happens in free currency. Like the schemes वहां पे दिया जाता है, वो जो schemes आपको दिया जाता है अगर you are setting up a trade house or you are setting up an export, so all kind of facilities in terms of transportation, all kinds of facilities in terms of commercial house, commercial office space, or water or power or communication, any kind of connectivity was being given. So during those, it is actually your new trade policy 1991 which opened the Indian economy. Slowly and steadily a foreign trade policy was designed. That foreign trade policy design took place over, like whatever implementation happened or whatever achievements happened, it took place over from 2009 to 2000. 2009 to 2014, where in case of like there was a higher support given in terms of market and product diversification. The first one is when we talk about a foreign trade policy, there were certain incentive schemes that was given to the new products and new market. For example, you are new to the export market. If you are new to the export market, there are certain incentive schemes that would be given to you. So 26 new markets were added under the focus market scheme, and 16 new markets were actually to Latin America, and 10 of them were to the other parts of Asia. The incentive that was allowed, or that incentive that was given was actually divided under two parts. One is your focus market scheme, another one was your focus product scheme. So under the product, in case you are exporting any kind of engineering products, matlab agricultural machinery, yeah, you are including any swing machines, hand tools, garden tools, music instruments, clock, watches, any kind of railway locomotives that you are giving, or you are exporting any kind of plastic, like any kind of value added products. Yeah, in case of textiles, like आपके जो each state has their own textile. जैसे आपके केस में पैठणी है, वैसे अगर आपका कुछ भी रहता है, like you are exporting, or you are exporting any kind of electronic items or any kind of food related material, so that has to be mentioned, or that has to be given in a sector, and all those has to be given, like जो इंसेंटिव आपको मिल रहा था, it is like from 2 to 2.5% to 3% of whatever export value that you are having, and that will be based on where you are exporting. Similarly, एक market linked focus product भी आ रहा था, जहाँ पे आपका जो जितने भी value added plastic goods हैं, pharmaceuticals या आपका टेक्सटाइल फैब्रिक्स हैं, वो सब भी उसमें लाइक इट हैज टू गो टू सर्टेन आइडेंटिफाइड मार्केट, इनिशियली आइडेंटिफाइड मार्केट. जैसे कि अभी आपका जो भी कोविड का वैक्सीन प्रोड्यूस होता है, अब सर्टेन पार्ट ऑफ योर वैक्सीन गोज टू अदर कंट्रीज, अल्जीरिया, इजिप्ट, केनिया, यूक्रेन, वियतनाम, ऐसे कंट्रीज को वो जाता है. So benefits are actually given when it goes to those countries. Moreover, even if your vaccines are going to third world countries, like it is a part of, like as a developing country we do it. हमारा जैसे वैक्सीन इंडिया के पॉपुलेशन को पूरा वैक्सीन होने के बाद we are diverting our vaccines to the third world countries. वैसे ही like whenever you are diverting those vaccines to the third world country, a certain kind of incentive is given to that company. So under this, there were many of the sectors that came up, like there was a jewelry sector, gems and jewelry came up. Gems and jewelry is where you are starting exporting. Where you are starting exporting valuable gems, matlab stones, and all kind of jewelry products. So when we talk about stones, it might be your cotton polished diamonds or uncut diamonds also. And jewelry is when you are exporting certain jewelry, certain gold made items to other part of the country. Similarly, there was also like agriculture sector also got an accreditation, and it also got like from the major international nodal agencies, it also got a in terms of like incentives. आपका leather sector भी है, like if you know or you don't know, I don't know, when like in leather sector we are a major exporter. Like the major exporter in case of leather sector is Bangladesh. Apart from Bangladesh, we are also a major exporter of leather sector. Leather sector in terms of like bags, in terms of your shoes, all those things. Pharmaceutical sectors that I talked about, like we are a major contributor to Africa and all Far East countries. Then we also export vegetables and food items in terms of like we export हमारा जो हापुस mangoes हैं, we also export grapes. We also export आपका जो chicken है, वो भी हमारा Indian chicken is also exported to other part of the countries. So that was all about your exports. Then India during 1996 to 2000, India set up SEZs. SEZs are your special economic zones. Actually to promote the export, like export is one way. When you are exporting something, it is leading to a very high economic growth. So in order to attain that economic growth, in order to have like in order to be a country, free market country, this SEZs were set up. SEZs like वो पहले EPZ में थे, इकोनॉमिक जोन्स में थे वो. SEZs is where it is special economic zones where like it attracts all kind of your foreign and domestic investment. आपका जो उत्तराखंड है, उत्तराखंड का एक बेल्ट SEZ है. Like you will find all kinds of industries over there. Like why it happens, like they stimulate whatever the production they are happening, where if you're setting up a project in SEZ, there you are having a maximum government backup. Like आपका जो land वगैरह रहता है, या in case of like facilitating in terms of setting up machines, वहां से आपको government से बहुत कुछ subsidies मिलता है. So those SEZs are actually set up so because they stimulate exports. Like that is another way where they are attracting the foreign and domestic investments, and it actually makes a provision and it makes an amenities like whatever capital comes, it has to be an inflow of capital. So when it leads to SEZ में क्या होता है, there is also a balanced development of region growth. Like if you see in India, a certain part like Maharashtra, Gujarat, if you'll also see a part of Gurgaon, those are heavily industrialized parts. Like there you will have fine industries. And similarly, if you'll go to the southern part, you will find some areas of Tamil Nadu where they have set up heavy manufacturing. Apart from that, if you'll see other parts of the countries, heavy manufacturing is not set up. कहीं पे भी heavy manufacturing setup नहीं है. Even if you go to the parts of Odisha, West Bengal, yes, they have certain kind of manufacturing, but it is not that heavy. Like in Odisha, you will have steel manufacturing. But so in order to balance the development of all the region, development of all the region in terms of like employment, in terms of like आपका giving the economy a boost, increasing the per capita income as well as increasing the आपका जो अर्निंग को मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए ये SEZ सेटअप होते हैं. लाइक उत्तराखंड इज वेरी रिच इन नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज. Uttarakhand is very rich in since it is a new state, hilly area, so it is very rich in what do you say, all kinds of natural resources, as well as you will get labor at a very easy charge over there. So in order to have a balanced development of those regions, this SEZ has been set up. Like India का major SEZ in Uttarakhand में ही है. So when we talk about this SEZs, like special economic zones, 2000 में initially there was one labor minister, like Ministry of Commerce में there was one person called as Murali Maran. In 2000 he visited China just to understand what the special economic zone is. Like China का जो special economic zone is, it's very it's a very razzle dazzle kind of thing. Like they are very much organized. So he was very much impressed by those special economic zones that was there in China. So in April 1st, 2000, when he came back, he immediately started recognizing areas where he will be declaring SEZs. So he made a policy, and in 2004, that bill was passed by the NDA government. So by 2005, the bill was given tabled in the parliament, and it was passed by both the houses. And like within 2 days, there was no deliberation, no debate made. Every one of them assured that if you are setting SEZs, it is an important issue and it is going to affect the whole of the economy. So certain belts were seen, and when the belts were recognized, one major what do you say, complaint that came from is like when you're setting up SEZs, the future of agriculture is actually hampered. Like whatever people who are dependent on agriculture, the rural sector that we talk about, and the land use to a certain degree, that is like the whole thing is going to get a disturbance. But then recognizing that part, all the SEZ belts that came under, those were given something outside of a city, or outside of that rural areas, or that agricultural land. Any kind of agricultural land will not be coming under SEZs. So there were certain exemptions given, exemptions in terms of customs and excise duties when it comes to development of SEZs. There was a income tax exemption that was given, like for the 10 years. income tax, you will be given exemption of income tax. Then if you are not profitable for the 10 years, you will again be given a additional 5 years, like you will be given an exemption of income tax. Similarly, there are other taxes, like there is something called as a dividend distribution tax. The same exemption was given. There was an exemption that was given from the central sales tax, exemption that is given to the from the service tax. And apart with all those, like there is a 120% development of SEZs that has happened, and export has increased 120% because of this SEZs. So that is what special economic zone is about. The other part that we will be talking about is payment terms. कैसे हम payment करते हैं? For example, we are a country which is exporting. So when we are exporting that, how are we going to do payment, or what are the requirements that we need to do when we are getting payments? The first requirement is a commercial invoice. Second is your packing list. Third is your certificate of origin. Fourth is your transport documents, for example your airway or bill of landing. Then your inspection certificate, saying that whatever inspection certificate is has to be like it is to be given by the importer, and it has to be the prescribed and regulations in the exporting countries. For example, we are exporting mangoes to other countries. For example, we are exporting mangoes to the countries in Europe. So here inspection certificate is required by the countries of Europe, where it has to be mentioned like this has passed under the regulations of the exporting country India. Like India का जितना भी regulations है वो pass किया गया है. So under those methods, you will be doing the payments. What are the certain way they are making payments? The payments can be done through bill of exchange. Bill of exchange is like it's an unconditional written order where it is prepared by an exporter, asking the importer that you have to pay a specified sum of money to the specified person at a specified time. Bill of exchange आपने आपका आपने legal aspects of business नहीं पढ़ा है. So bill of exchange is actually a legal document and it is an unconditional written order. यहाँ पे कैसे parties रहते हैं? Like there is a drawer. Drawer is the party which draws the bill of exchange to obtain a payment. In like for example, if it is in an export transaction, the exporter is actually the drawer. Drawee is the party which is liability to make a payment. Like in export transaction, the importer's bank is the drawee. Then there is a payee. Payee is the party to receive the payment. The drawer and the payee may be the same party. Then there is a negotiating and a collecting bank. Negotiating and collecting bank is an exporter's bank, and there is a remitting bank, that is your importer bank. तो 5 लोग रहते हैं, drawer, drawee, payee, negotiating or collecting bank and remitting bank रहते हैं. Then apart from your bill of exchange, there are other ways also where you can make a payment depending on like how the exchange happen or whether it is a letter of credit. Letter of credit कैसे रहता है? Like they has different letters of credit रहता है. एक revocable letter of credit रहता है. Like it can be cancelled by the issuing bank without giving any notice. एक irrevocable letter of credit रहता है जहाँ पे कोई भी cancellation नहीं रहता है. एक confirmed letter of credit रहता है जो कि issuing bank देता है another. For example, in case of confirmed letter of credit, suppose हम export कर रहे हैं, we are exporting mangoes to Europe. So in case of a confirmed letter of credit, Europe's bank assign us a confirmed letter of credit that once upon receiving the goods, we are going to release a certain sum of money or payment, we are going to make a payment. जो भी payment रहता है like वो different modes में रहता है, जैसे कि payment credit होता है या deferred payment credit होता है या like availability होता है, like कौन से basis में वो credit लेंगे, whether it is on basis of your foreign exchange reserves or whether you are making a exchange convertibility of your own currency and the payments has to be made. So that was the last part of your international business economics. Like almost like we have covered every part. मैंने just summary में लेके ही आपका cover किया है. So we have covered international business economics. I don't know आपका exam कब होगा. Anything more you need to ask me?
मैडम एक डाउट है मैडम, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का जो सब्जेक्ट है हमें तो थ्योरी में है क्या वो?
क्या?
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का जो इंट्रोडक्शन टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, तो वो मतलब सब्जेक्ट उसका क्या करना है?
वो इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल कोर्स है।
उसमें मैडम वो फॉर्म में तो एक्सटर्नल में भी बोला है उन्होंने।
एक्सटर्नल नहीं, तो एक्सटर्नल नहीं है वो, मुझे जितना तक पता है वो एक्सटर्नल नहीं है।
ओके ओके, तो मतलब मैडम टोटल 9 सब्जेक्ट है हमें, तो उसमें से एक है SIP
हाँ
और 8 यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल सब्जेक्ट रहेंगे ना हमें, मतलब MCQ टाइप एग्जाम।
हाँ
तो वो 8 में से एक, उसमें हमने जो फॉर्म भरा है मैडम, तो उसमें वाई दिख रहा है, यस दिख रहा है, मतलब एक्सटर्नल और थ्योरी सब बोलते हैं ना वो, तो उसमें उन्होंने वाई करके आया है फॉर्म में बाय डिफॉल्ट, वो हमने फॉर्म भरा है ना।
तो वो थोड़ा आप फिर से चेक कीजिए, पर मुझे जितना तक पता है दैट इज एन इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल कोर्स, उसका कुछ नहीं रहता है।
ओके ओके, मतलब कॉलेज के पास ही है ना, मतलब ये।
हाँ कॉलेज का पास ही है वो, उसमें
ओके मैम,
सिर्फ
ओके।
मार्क्स एंट्री होते हैं। लाइक वो उसका मार्क्स एंट्री भी डज नॉट हैव एनी इम्पैक्ट ऑन योर CGPA।
ओके
उसका
मैम,
जो
ओके।
मार्क्स एंट्री भी होता है ना, उसका कोई भी
हाँ हाँ,
इम्पैक्ट आपका CGPA पे नहीं रहता है। मतलब
यस
इट
मैम,
डजंट मैटर आपको अगर 50 में से 20 मिल रहा है, या इट डजंट मैटर आपको 50 में से 50 मिल रहा है।
यस मैम।
वो जस्ट आपका एक सब्जेक्ट है, मतलब इट इज एज अ पार्ट लाइक बीइंग एन इंडियन यू शुड बी नोइंग योर ओन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इसीलिए वो आपका दिया गया है।
यस मैम। और मैम बाकी जो सब्जेक्ट है वो भी इंटरनल ही रहेंगे ना हमारे, जो भी हमने लिए है वो कॉलेज के पास जो है, उसका अलग से कुछ ये होगा क्या, इंटरनल टेस्ट होगा क्या अभी, जैसे पिछले साल हुआ था?
नहीं, नहीं होगा,
हाँ, क्योंकि वो
वैसे
50 मार्क्स
वैसे
के
नहीं
है।
होने वाला।
ओके मैम।
आपका मेजर क्या है? आपका समर इंटर्नशिप प्रोजेक्ट मेजर है, बिकॉज उसका स्ट्रेट पे मार्क ऐड होता है और वो आपका CGPA बढ़ाता है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन हाउ यू आर परफॉर्मिंग। आपका एक्सटर्नल आपको कितना मार्क देता है, आपका प्रोजेक्ट कैसा है, वो आपको कैसे 100 में से उसमें बहुत मार्क्स अचीव होते हैं, जो कि आपका दूसरे में नहीं होते हैं, मार्क्स अचीव नहीं होते, इंटरनल में भी नहीं होते हैं। लाइक इफ आपका इंटरनल गाइड 50 में से आपको 45 देते हैं, तो एक्सटर्नल जितना भी देते हैं, सपोज एक्सटर्नल आपको 40 देते हैं, तो आपका डायरेक्टली एट अ स्ट्रेट आपका यहाँ पे 85 मार्क्स ऐड हो जाता है, तो वो CGPA का परसेंटेज बढ़ा देता है।
यस मैम।
अदरवाइज आपका दूसरा जो है वो आपका इंटरनल एक्सटर्नल रेशियो में होता है, मतलब वहां पे SIP एक ऐसी जगह है जहां पे आपका स्केल डाउन नहीं होता है और दूसरे चीजों में आपका स्केल डाउन हो जाता है। ओके,
और मैम ये, यस मैम, गॉट इट।
ठीक है। Shall I leave the class now?
मैम वो बुक्स डालने को बोले ना सर को,
हाँ हाँ हाँ, मैं बोलती हूँ उसे।
ई बुक्स, ई बुक्स।
ठीक है, मैं उनको बोलती हूँ।
थैंक्स मैम।
थैंक यू।